I call the Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and I rise to oppose the motion moved by the Leader of the Opposition. And in so doing, I say to the Leader of the Opposition, I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. I will not. And the government will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. Not now, not ever. The Leader of the Opposition says that people who hold sexist views and who are misogynists are not appropriate for high office. Well, I hope the Leader of the Opposition has got a piece of paper and he is writing out his resignation. Because if he wants to know what misogyny looks like in modern Australia, he doesn't need a motion in the House of Representatives. He needs a mirror. That's what he needs.
Perhaps a little bit of self-advertisement, you know. Everybody else in the room in white time-tails and just one man in a kilt. After all, if you can't advertise yourself, what hope have you of being able to advertise anything else? This thing, you may have seen it. It was a bestseller in 13 languages, and it's still required reading in business schools all over the world. I was able to predict how many people would see a motion picture before it was filmed.
I've had about 10 great ideas in my life, advertising ideas, which isn't many, it's more than most people have had. Advice, I talk for hours on this subject. First thing I say is be more ambitious. Don't bunt. When you get a job to do a storyboard or an ad, try and hit the ball out of the park every time. Don't bunt. Compete with the immortals. If you're going to do an automobile campaign, try and make it the greatest automobile campaign that any agency's ever done at any period. I didn't write that headline. It's a quotation from an article which had appeared about 20 years before in an English automobile magazine. Good ad, all facts, no adjectives, all specific, sold a lot of cars.
Try and inject into every commercial you make a touch of singularity, a burr that will hook onto the consumer's mind.
I'd read a book called Attention and Interest Factors in Advertising by Harold Rudolph, who'd been the research director in the wonderful Getchell agency. And he'd got a factor which he called story appeal in picture. And he showed that the more story appeal there was in a picture, in a photograph, the more people would look at your ad. So I wanted to do an ad for these Hathaway shirts. And I wanted to find this magic ingredient of story appeal. So after dinner one night at home, I sat down, wrote 18 ideas for this Hathaway advertising, for the story appeal element. The 18th was the eye patch, and that was the one we used. And that lasted for 19 years, that campaign. Because it's pretty good advertising apart from this, the eye patch. The copy is very good. It's all about the product. We don't mess around.
I don't believe in tricky advertising. I don't believe in cute advertising. I don't believe in comic advertising. The people who perpetrate that kind of advertising have never had to sell anything in their lives. Tell the truth, but make the truth fascinating. You know, you can't bore people into buying your product. You can only interest them in buying it.
Listen to the sound of the Maxwell House coffee pot at work. Top quality gasolines are blends of various ingredients. Each is there for a reason. We're about to demonstrate a mileage ingredient called platformate.
You know, the more you tell, generally, the more you sell.
1 gallon. We start and let her go.
Try and get great ideas that nobody's ever had before and will last for years. But ambition, it's the lack of ambition which cripples most people and makes them so pedestrian in the advertising creative business.
Now let's talk about big ideas. Big ideas. No, that's what the advertising business is really all
That's
about.
what the advertising business is all about. Big ideas.
Same Ford Galaxy, same speed. If Platform 8 really works, we ought to go farther. Here's where we stopped before, but with Platform 8. We keep right on going. We do everything we can at Shell to make our sign stand for excellence.
A brand's choice of color is a fundamental element that reinforces both its personality and the qualities of the products and services it offers. Some brands are so iconic that it is possible to identify them from just a single Pantone color without an accompanying logo. Others have even gone so far as to trademark their defining shades. So why do brands place such an importance on color, and what impact does it have on the way consumers perceive them? Research compiled by Color.com suggests that consumers make a subconscious judgment about a person, environment, or product within 90 seconds of initial viewing, and that between 62% and 90% of that is based on color alone. Further research indicates that brand recognition can be increased by up to 80% by effective use of color throughout marketing, packaging, and logo design. While other marketing elements including the targeting of advertising and effective product copy are of importance to a brand's voice, its core individuality and memorability could lie within its carefully selected color palette. Of course, there are always exceptions to every rule, with several potential factors affecting an individual's perception of color. Let's take cultural upbringing as an example. The color red is commonly associated with luck and prosperity throughout Asia, whereas it can represent love, passion, or even danger in Western societies. These differences are important to consider when targeting specific geographical or ethnic audiences as part of a marketing strategy. Personal color preference could also have some bearing on a consumer's loyalty to certain brands. The most mutually disliked colors of men and women include orange, yellow, and brown. Purple, on the other hand, appeared to be the least favorite color of almost a quarter of all male respondents compared to just 8% of female respondents. It is perhaps superficial to suggest that a male customer wouldn't purchase from a well-established brand just because its logo happens to feature the color purple. Brands tread a very fine line when it comes to choosing typically masculine or feminine colors. Using them to market products can lead to consumers feeling patronized and stereotyped, as demonstrated by the infamous BIC campaign of 2012. There are certainly strong parallels between color and brand perception across product sectors. Now here's some notable examples that illustrate how color can influence on consumers' impressions of a brand or its products. Now let's start with the obvious example of McDonald's. Its logo is one of the most recognized in the world, and its striking red backdrop dominates its branding. It is widely claimed that red is the most appetizing color in the spectrum. Reasons for this vary, from its ability to increase your heart rate and therefore kickstart digestion, to simply an overexposure to coincidentally red food marketing campaigns over time. Either way, you'd be hard-pressed to find a fast food outlet that is not dominated by a shade of red as part of its brand strategy. Now, Apple have gone through quite an evolution when it comes to their branding and marketing. So let's take a look at their 1977 logo on the left and their present-day logo on the right. Now let's pretend the two logos represent two different brands and you're looking to buy a cutting-edge laptop with the latest technology seamlessly built into a sleek, modern design. Now, which brand would you trust more to deliver on these expectations? Unlike bright primary colors, gray is typically emotionless and neutral, making it perfect for mass marketing. For a sophisticated and well-established technology company, gray can be a great choice. It is understated, timeless, and reflects the materials from which the products are made. Perhaps this explains why grayscale is adopted so frequently in marketing campaigns throughout the sector. In comparison to black, which can be perceived as masculine and overpowering, this mid-tone gray is in no way divisive. Now, whether you're earning $20,000 or $200,000, you likely use at least one Apple product, a sign of a truly universal brand. At a push, Apple's multicolored logo could pass as creative and unconventional. It certainly appears almost juvenile in comparison to its modern counterpart, though that's not to say other brands haven't garnered success with similar palettes. Consistency is vital to ensuring a brand has a coherent voice. By choosing a small palette of 2 to 4 colors and employing them throughout their marketing channels, brands strengthen their identities and memorability in the eye of the consumer. So next time you shop with your favorite brand, consider why you trust them to deliver on their product or service. You may provide several different reasons depending on past customer experience, but it may also be your subconscious color preferences nudging you in the right direction.